Welcome to Lake Matters, the only show that's devoted entirely to issues surrounding your Lake Norman region. We hope that you'll be informed, inspired, and entertained. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to another edition of Lake Matters, and we are here, and it is a special meeting that we're having here today with the two people running for mayor of Huntersville. Let's get right into it and let them introduce themselves. Please go right ahead, Jim.
I'm Jim Puckett. Actually, my family showed up here in 1755, so I've been a native for a while. I own two companies, a company called Long Creek Industrial Services, another one called Ceiling Pro International. And I was a former Mecklenburg County Commissioner, and prior to that, a Board of Education member at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools.
Thank you. Ms. Mayor.
And I prefer that you call me Jill. Jill,
yes, ma'am.
Please.
Thank you.
And even the ma'am's kind of pushing it there. Jill Swain, I am in my 6th year of being Huntersville's mayor and my 14th year of being on the Huntersville Town Board. Public service is really all I'm about right now. I was in advertising for 20 years, and I think there's a definite correlation between advertising and being mayor because you're advertising your community.
Give me what you believe to be two of the main issues in your town that we need to be thinking about. What would those sort of top two things be?
You know what, Joe, on any given day, those two issues are going to change. I mean, that's just the nature of being mayor, I think. But I think to hit on two general ones, vision. Vision is a huge issue with me because that's really why I got involved. When in 1994 and 1995, Huntersville showed signs that we were going to be growing, and I joined I chaired the land use committee that really stopped construction for a year, and we revamped our subdivision zoning ordinance. We've still grown tremendously, but we have to keep looking ahead, knowing that we have to bring in economic development to balance the tax rate, knowing that we have transportation issues, knowing that we're going to have more schools that we have to advocate for. It's the total package. In addition to that, it's citizen involvement. It's very easy when a town is growing as rapidly as Huntersville continues to do, to have citizens sit back and say, they're doing things very well. We don't need to get involved, and we need their involvement to help them with the visioning process. So, and to let them know that their opinions are valuable, that they're part of making decisions that are going to happen in the future.
Jim, give me two issues that are top on your mind.
Economic development and an understanding we have got to change from being a Charlotte-centric vision with economic development into a North Mecklenburg, Iredell, Lincoln regional development issue. Economic development, as far as significant job growth, is going to come around new manufacturing. That's what I do for a living. The fact of the matter is, sites for that probably are north and west of here. We have got to do a far better job than we're doing right now in partnering with our neighbors. A former mayor in one of the towns said that Huntersville has dug a moat around itself and put the mayor pro tem as the gatekeeper. We have got to be more aggressive in partnering with people outside of Huntersville and starting to sell this area both in the southeast and nationally as a region, not just a bunch of individual towns. The other thing revolves around education. And when you look at the towns that are now chosen as the best small town in America, whatever it is, one of the things that always ranks that the town has done is education. It's interesting, Matthews tends to do better than Huntersville, and we're in the same school system. The problem with that is we have not had the continued leadership kind of demanding what we need to have out of CMS and starting to look at things like charter schools and other options that are showing up. So we've got to continue to tweak education, have a better, we need to do more like South Mecklenburg has done as far as dealing with the Board of County Commission and CMS and the truly state-of-the-art education and not just keeping up.
Joe, would you like to address some of those? Those were some specific things.
Because you wrote about the trip to China, didn't you?
Well, actually, and I want to talk, I don't know if Jim is aware of the CHEC committee that we just started, the Community of Huntersville Education Collaborative. It is it is unlikely that Huntersville will have their own school district. And it occurred to me that we have so many assets here in Huntersville that we should be able to take those assets and merge them into our school system. I firmly believe that children in Huntersville are that much smarter because we have so much to offer here. We have so much history. We have so many different destinations that they could participate in. But additionally, we have Certex, we have Microban, we have ABB, we have high technology corporations who have already raised their hands and said, we want to be in the Speakers Bureau, we want to go into the schools and talk about them. We know if we integrate that with the China trip for economic development, that was not, it has turned out to be not just economic development, but a value for our community. That the Chinese came in and donated not one, but 2 3D printers. In addition to that, while they were here, they had heard that there was a middle school student who did not speak a lick of English and spoke Chinese, and they handed their contact information to this child and said, anytime you need us, let us know. And when ABB came in, they brought in Swedish families who did not speak English, and we've developed an international program so that our kids learn from the Swedes and they learn from us as well. So it's ongoing.
Jim, I mean, she does show some evidence of what you're speaking of, does she not? That
Well,
China
but
trip and so forth?
Well, I would say that, I was more impressed by the fact that Cornelius had the State Secretary of Commerce here dealing with local issues as opposed to China. When you go to China, you better bring your peers with you. Also went with Alabama. I think the China trip I won't get into because I don't know that was the best use of resources. I'd rather be using them in the Southeast. And I do understand what we're doing locally.
But isn't that connecting with exactly what you were just speaking of?
Economic development.
No, because we went to China as Huntersville. We would have been far better off with a delegation from this region, which has a far greater group of assets. I was the original chair of the Central Line Economic Development Commission. It's a federally funded commission that we went out and we took 9 counties and we inventoried all the assets, shovel ready, all of the number of tech schools, all of the things available in a 9-county region that we can then go to China and say, I've got X number of square miles, I've got X number of community colleges, I have X number of shovel ready, I have two intersecting interstates.
Yeah, but
not
Jim,
just Huntersville. We did not include that.
Didn't the mayor just simply pave the way for you or anybody else to do that again? I mean,
in
explain the
China,
difference.
but the
Can I
dilemma
talk
is
about
that
that?
1 second.
But the
Okay.
dilemma with that is that I think we don't need to go to China to do that. What we need to be doing is going to the Lake Norman Chamber, the Mooresville Chamber, taking business people who are peer with Chinese, but even more so within areas that are redeveloping from inside the United States. There's a whole lot greater chance of being able to do
And
that
I'll give you a
quickly.
minute. 1 second,
Okay.
Joe. I want to make sure I'm clear on this.
Yeah, 'cause
so the trip
this is a
itself was
conversation.
not bad. It was the plan and who she took with her. Is that what I'm saying? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think the trip itself was, to me, irrelevant. I don't think it made perfect use of what you could have done. I think if you go as Huntersville, you have a bit of a bite. If you go as a region invited with 3 other mayors or whatever, you have a much bigger plan to sell. But the other piece is the education. We get back to what Huntersville is doing. One of the things that we're missing is I agree with partnering with communities. I agree with partnering with businesses. What we're not doing is we are not flexing our muscle within CMS, and we are watching North Mecklenburg continue to drag behind the rest of the county when it comes to the assets that are being given here locally. So
Okay.
and that's what I fought. That's
Jill,
why I fought for 10
China's
years.
too far. You should be going to Cornelius and Charlotte.
Or Detroit or LA.
Okay.
Part of being in the role of mayor, I think, is also being open to learning and being a good ambassador for your community. It was my first response when I heard about this China trip to say LNTC or LNEDC, they should be the ones to go. And yet, what I learned while I was there is that the Chinese actually don't respond to the delegations that Jim's talking about. They have a high respect for people in the mayor position. I mean, I wanted to go over there and go, wait a minute, I'm not the one who makes the decisions. But to them, it's very important. And you could see that by the very fact that within a month of me going, they came back to look at this area. And they didn't come back to look at Huntersville. They looked at all of North Mecklenburg. We took them on a tour of the entire area. And then 2 months after that visit, we had another delegation visit. That's unusual for that to happen. It is very common for other EDCs in the country to take their delegations of EDC people and go and say, we are the delegation and here's what we represent. It is very unusual for a mayor to go over there, welcome them with open arms. I think that's a different situation. Now, does that preclude us from going to the Southeast? Does that preclude us from? No, it's the entire picture. A good mayor looks at the whole picture.
We hope you enjoyed watching this segment of Lake Matters. You can view the entire interview with both candidates running for mayor of Huntersville on the Lake Norman Citizen website or Lake Norman Currents website.
Hi, I'm Sharon Simpson. I'm publisher of Currents Magazine of Lake Norman, and I am just thrilled to be sitting here at the beautiful Trump National Golf Club with Eric Trump, who is the VP of Development and Acquisitions for Trump Organization, and we are just thrilled for you to be here
Well,
today.
it's great for you guys to be here.
Yeah,
Love your
yes.
magazine. I was on the cover about a year ago, and obviously we were honored by such a great community you have here, and North Carolina is an amazing state, and it's just our pleasure.
Absolutely, and we're so proud that you've chosen this area to kind of call
Thank you.
home, at least for a while.
Thank you.
And I'm curious, how did you find out about Mooresville, North Carolina, and Lake Norman?
Well, we've been looking at this course for a long time, and this course has something incredibly special, and that's Lake Norman, right? One of the biggest lakes in the country. Every single one of the holes on this lake is literally, seaside land, and you don't see that in the middle of North Carolina, or quite frankly anywhere. So to have that kind of water presence on a golf course is something that truly makes this course incredibly special. And so we'd seen it had a great reputation, and as soon as I got down here, and as soon as my father got down here, we saw we could turn this into something that was so incredible. And that's what we're celebrating today.
And we see that,
Our
we
mission
see
has
that.
come through.
Absolutely. Now, I know you guys obviously have made a few changes. How involved are you guys in the changes? I hear you even picked out some of the curtain.
Incredibly, and that's part of being a family company. I mean, every single chair, every bar stool, every piece of carpet, paint color, etc., we're involved with. It's what we do. I mean, we design every piece of it. We're there every single week as we go through the construction. We're always talking to our teams, and much more involved than anybody could ever possibly imagine. We went in, we spent millions of dollars fixing it. New driving ranges, new bunkers, new fairways, all new greens. You can see one behind me right now. This is the 18th green. All new grasses, the best grasses. We lengthened the course. We built new ballrooms, new tennis courts. The list goes on and on and on. And that's really the physical side. Then you have the service side, which is really bringing in the best people, and really making it a true 5-star environment, from the quality of the food to the quality of the service to the best employees, the best amenities. And when you really lump both elements together, you have something very special.
How important do you see your interpersonal reaction with the staff that often?
I'm here every couple weeks.
Oh, are you?
And,
Wow.
and it's so important. And again, as you go through that building phase, there's nothing better than being able to demolish a wall and relay out a room and make little tweaks, as a project's progressing. And if you're not here all the time, it's kind of hard to make those changes. And it's also hard to find the right people. You have to be there. You have to try the food. You actually
Right.
have to use the asset. That's when you can pick out little flaws that you want to improve and make better. And that's really what makes us great at what we do.
Now, how often do you get to play the course?
Yeah, well, I wish I played more golf. I keep telling my father, the day I became a scratch golfer, you probably want to fire me because I'm doing something wrong. But I love playing the course. It's an amazing course. It's a challenging course, but incredibly beautiful course. So it's really a special place out there.
We have seen kind of the effect that your ownership has done to the Charlotte region. What would you say that you kind of bring to the Charlotte area?
Well, whenever we come into an asset, we're loud, for lack of a better word. We really attract attention, and I think that's a very big positive. I mean, I can't tell you how many letters I've received from homeowners saying, thank you so much for everything that you've done for my home values. I've had so many real estate brokers to say, aside from home value increases, also time and market has gone down so substantially with your involvement. People want to be here. People are buying the houses.
Interesting.
The inventory is actually the lowest it's ever been in this community and the surrounding areas. And so it's a great testament to us. It's a great testament to the amount of money that we've put into the asset. But it's also a great testament to North Carolina and everything that the state's doing right in terms of taxes, in terms of really appealing to retirees, in terms of quality of life overall. I mean, there's not many places in the world where you can go out, you can play 18 holes of golf, you can go water skiing on the lake, you can have your boat, you can have an amazing house, and be in really a metropolitan city in 25 minutes
absolutely.
with major companies
Yeah.
and real infrastructure, and it's an amazing place.
What might be your plans for buying a piece of real estate out in the Mooresville, North Carolina area?
So I think my fiance asks me the same question every week. Because she's actually from North Carolina.
Really?
So she would love nothing more than to have a little weekend getaway down here, right here in the community. But obviously I'm based out of New York. I love it. We're seriously considering buying a house here. We love this area. We love spending time at this asset. It's just so beautiful. The people, and I mean this sincerely, maybe it's the Southern charm.
Mm-hmm.
The people are some of the nicest people in the world. I mean, I just have developed so many great friendships with so many members and so many people in the surrounding areas. It's a place that we'll spend a lot of time for a long time to come.
Great. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I really want to thank you so much for your time. We are just thrilled to be able to call you guys our neighbor. It's really an honor and a privilege, and with what you guys have done, it's just really amazing. And because there might be an opportunity for you to buy a piece of real estate, you're going to need to know what's going on in the Lake Norman area pretty much consistently,
Right.
and that's what Currents Magazine does. So I'm going to offer you and your dad a free subscription to Currents Magazine, so
Thank
you will
you.
be able to keep up
Thank you.
with Lake Norman month to month. And if you ever have any questions, or you're ready to come back down and buy a piece of property or attend an event, you just give me a call.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much. We appreciate the time that Eric Trump has given us to spend, and we hope that you'll come back.
We'll be here a lot, believe me.
Thanks.
Welcome to Hendrick Luxury Auto Mall at North Lake, home to BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Lexus. With a combined total of over 125,000 square feet of luxury spread across 50 acres, the Hendrick Luxury Auto Mall will be more capable than ever of exceeding your expectations. At these 3 brand new state-of-the-art facilities, we will offer the same world-class sales and service that has made Hendrick Charlotte's premier highline dealer group.
Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Come experience Mercedes-Benz of North Lake, where we treat you like family.
BMW is the ultimate driving machine. Come visit us at Hendrick BMW North Lake for your ultimate buying experience.
Here at Hendrick Lexus North Lake, we celebrate the passionate pursuit of perfection. Come on down and celebrate yours today.
Hendrick Luxury Auto Mall. Make plans to visit this beautiful facility for the true world-class premium experience that you've come to expect from Hendrick. This episode of Lake Matters is sponsored by
We have all the candidates here for Cornelius Town Board, and we're looking forward to an informative roundtable discussion. I'm here with my partner, Andy Warfield from The Citizen, and we hope you enjoy this segment. Thank you very much. The first thing I'd like to do is ask everybody very quickly to just give your name and what you do for a living.
My name is Woody Washam, and I'm Market President with Alliance Bank and Trust.
My name is Robert Agenko. I'm a local business owner. What we do, we produce, distribute natural products.
Del Arundel. I'm president, chairman of Arundel Associates. We're a local software development company, and we make and sell software to hospitals.
Hey, I'm Jim Duke. I'm retired from the federal government and from the United States Army. What I do for a living right now is run for county commissioner. Town commissioner.
Joe, Andy, thanks for having us. I'm John Bradford. I'm a current town commissioner of Cornelius, and then I also own a business headquartered here in Charlotte called Park Avenue Properties.
Hi, I'm Bill Sykes, and I'm retired out of the IT community for about 30 years.
Dave Gilroy, also a current commissioner in Cornelius, 8 years. I own a finance and accounting professional services business with about 40 professionals based here in Raleigh, and also a veteran of the U.S. Army.
Thank you, guys. Before we get started, I think it's really important that we thank Susan Johnson with Keller Williams for allowing this to happen. It's her support and her strong support throughout the community over the years. She has been a strong supporter of Competitive Edge. She's been a strong supporter of all of the things that we have done, Andy, here, and we want to thank her very much for allowing us to make this happen. And I say, if you got to buy a piece of real estate, why not buy it from Susan Johnson? That's what I say. Let's get started, my friend. The first question, and Dave, let me ask you, because clearly I've watched you over the years vote no for a lot of budgets, and it was surprising for me to hear that you were supporting this. Why don't we pay as we go instead of using a bond to do it?
Well, we will end up paying as we go. That's just really how this functions mechanically. And I am supportive of the bond package, the entire bond package. I've had a big hand, and as has John, in architecting that package over the last several months as we've been planning it. And people have to understand that this is a referendum to enable us to borrow this money, which we will do over the next several years as the needs arise and as the planning is completed. I, for one, believe very strongly, and as a premise for my support of this package, that we should not have to increase the tax rate. I understand what the town...
Dave, let's do that. Jim, let's talk about increasing taxes, because everything I have read, it seems as though, in fact, we may have to raise taxes.
You know, it does look like that, perhaps, 14, 15, or 16, well along in the process. But the town needs this money. The town needs to be able to leverage other sources of money and get some things done in a proper way.
So John, if we've got to raise taxes, you okay with that?
Well, I think it's important, if you think of West Catawba widening, the original project, that was a pay-as-you-need-it type project. So we did a 2.5% tax increase across a 5-year term. So anyone that was living in Cornelius for those 5 years pretty much paid off that debt, okay? If you take the bond package and support it, we can raise more money, spread it out longer, so it allows us to take the tax rate, if we have to raise it, and spread it out much longer, which means we will have more people moving to town, so that tax is shared across more individuals versus condensing it to a shorter time frame. So it really solves, I think, a tax inequity if you do as a more pay-as-you-go versus locking it down for longer terms. Most certainly, if we have to do a tax increase, so be it, but we're talking about 1 penny, and on a $400,000 home, that's $40 a year.
Dell, you got no problem raising my taxes by $40?
Wow. Thanks for that introduction. No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. I've been on the park board for a couple of years now, and we're a new community. And we're a growing, we're not a built-out community yet. We're a new community, which means we have infrastructure. And you have to invest in infrastructure in order for the citizens to get the most out of their community. So all of us, I think, agree that we need these bonds to be passed. We'd like to see no money be paid out of our tax budget for this to happen. But if it does need to happen, we can all, I think, assure our constituents that we will be good stewards of that bond money, make sure that every item that comes in front of the board is discussed and publicly vetted, and if the money is spent, it's going to be spent properly.
Does anybody want to add anything to that? I mean, raise a hand. Everybody okay with raising taxes? I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Well, I personally don't want to raise taxes, but there's a different environment here than there is in the large revaluation that we've just gone through or been able to beat down, so to speak. What I understand, having interviewed the board and also talking deeply with Anthony about this issue, is that none of the bonds are going to be exercised until everyone has their own input into it, until there's public input. So in other words, if we say, okay, we're going to borrow $20 billion in bonds, we're not going to do that all at once and stick it in the bank, in Woody's bank, and have him hold on to it and take out of that bucket as we need it.
He would like you to do that.
I know he would.
I would.
But we're going to come up with an initiative, and because we have voted for the bonds and the ability to borrow that money, then we float the bond at that time. It's not going to be just going out and across the board borrowing money, if I'm correct.
Sure.
I really do want to be clear, Joe, because
Sure.
you cut me off. I've been studying this budget in great depth for over a decade, and I am convinced that if we manage these outlays carefully over an extended period of time, that the combination of reductions in current debt service, and we've seen a lot of that go down with the payoff of Town Hall and the police station, and the increase, and it's inevitable, notwithstanding the reval, it's inevitable that we will see dramatic increases, ongoing increases in our assessed value across Cornelius, that we should not have to raise the tax rate, not even the 1 penny that town staff is suggesting might be helpful. And I just need 2 votes on this board to make sure that doesn't happen.
I'm glad you clarified that, because that isn't what I thought I heard you say. So thank you for clarifying that.
I hope everyone heard me say we can manage this without the tax increase.
Because guys, that's not what I'm hearing from the rest of you. So I want to make sure. Please, Woody, go right ahead.
Well, I'd like to add something to Mr. Gilroy's comments there. I don't always agree with Dave, but this is something I really do agree with him on. I think the potential is there for us to actually find some efficiencies in town government and bring to the table a budget which will not require that. Now, if it's a penny or so, as the prediction is out there for, that's not the end of the world, but at the same time, I believe it can be done by reaching out for those efficiencies that exist within our town government. So I'm very hopeful we can do that. So that's the direction I would like to head in.
Robert, you got an opinion on this?
I got a few things. That's the.
Hold that mic just a little bit closer to you, please.
Yeah, Dale said, I can agree with him, because what we're doing, we're a kind of the new town. We're still relatively new town. We want to live in. Sometimes everybody asking where Cornelius is. It's somewhere between Davidson and Huntersville. The point is to be able to do it, our town, to put in the next level. What we have to do, we have to invest in different kind of things. In my understanding, investing in all these things will bring more people, more interest, and will grow. In this case, we will absorb with the new people.
Robert, and if it costs an extra penny or two, you're okay with that?
The thing is, I believe, like if we do it the right way, like we do through the bonds, in this case, I don't think it will be needed to roast the penny.
Okay. John, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
Can I finish, please?
Sure.
I apologize. Also, please don't forget, every time, like if I hope the people will vote for the bond, especially for the Catawba expansion. We needed to do that. But at the same time, please don't forget, that's every time it's not only 11.5 million, that's something we're going to spend on that road. It's also federal government and state government, something I heard is going to help us. It's mean that project alone will cost much more. In this case, putting out a few copics, in this case, few cents, we're getting more from the other stuff, and we're helping our town to be like more viable.
Okay.
That's the whole point.
John?
So for clarity, because it's a municipal bond, it's a general obligation bond, so there's an obligation to return the debt. And we have to disclose that possibly raising taxes may be one route to pay off that debt. Most certainly, if there's opportunities to have savings in the town, such as paying, town hall, police department, and we can recover monies from one bucket and move it to the other, then why would a board raise taxes? At the same time, though, we should not fool ourselves, because this town, through the new, the revised master comprehensive plan, talks about finishing widening of the rest of Catawba. We may not have the budget to do that. The town has already gone through one tax increase, and look at the results. The results of West Catawba have been phenomenal. So I think, while we all agree that we're not going to unilaterally say we're going to raise taxes, there has to be real, decisions that we made at that time. And if it included a tax increase to get something that the town says it needs and that it does need, I don't think anyone on this board wouldn't support that. But it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to.
But that's just not the right attitude, right? You got to have a commitment and a determination. You got to have a commitment and a determination over this long period of time to manage it in a way that doesn't require a tax rate increase. We are blessed in Cornelius with 70 miles of coastline. This is enormously valuable real estate, and it's going up fast again since this Great Recession has resided. So we will have the assessed property value on a 24-cent tax rate to finance this government if we manage it efficiently. And you can't have a, well, maybe it'll happen this way, maybe it'll happen that way attitude. You got to have commitment to containing the tax.
I'd like to respond
Sure,
to that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, most certainly, if we had a crystal ball and we lived in a box, we could comfortably say that. The reality is, though, we don't. Anyone who would say that we're not going to do something when we don't know anything about what the future holds for this town, I think would be outside the lines. The reality is to make a commitment of we're going to be fiscally responsible as this town has always done. That is what the commitment is. At the same time, though, if a project surfaces that this town and its residents decide that we need and the money required is greater than what is in our budget, then where are you going to get the money? There's no pot of gold at the end of Lake Norman. It's got to come from somewhere. Now, you'll have to have a board that's going to make good, conscientious decisions with the money, but most certainly to sit here today and say no one's going to raise taxes is very short-sighted. No one can say that right now.
And guys, I'm sure we could talk about taxes all day long, but I know we want to get on some other issues. So is there anybody that wants to sort of say a final thing about
I want to
these
say
taxes?
a final thing. I agree with both of these guys, okay?
Now that's a politician.
I was hit hard by the revaluation. I don't want taxes raised under any circumstances. But at the same time, you have to look to the future, and no one knows, no one has a crystal ball as to what the next need is going to be down the road. So if we appropriate for those things correctly by passing these bonds and allowing us to make an investment that becomes necessary, then that's the prudent thing to do. It's not a one way or the other, so to speak.
Anybody want to have a final thought on that? Are you guys comfortable with that? Go right ahead, Gil.
Well, since I was the one that was nailed.
I support you.
Thank you. I just want to be clear, too, that I believe in investing. But if the constituents didn't believe in investing, if we had a public debate and we brought forth, say, an arts center, and it was going to cost $3.5 million, and my constituents kept coming up to me and saying, "Del, I don't want to pay taxes for that," that's the way I would vote. Because I'm a representative of the people, not just of my own personal opinion. So while I personally support the bonds, while I personally would allow my taxes to go up because I like new parks, I like good roads, I like investment in our community. If my constituents didn't want to do that and they voted the bonds down, that's the way it is.
Yeah, but Del, let's be clear on this, that they're asking that now today because this is the only vote they get.
There's really one critical point here that we have to be clear about. As all of us know, because we pay property tax, our taxes go up. They are going up. The check that we write it's always gonna go up because the value of the property is going up. And in this area, it's going up fast. Again, it's going up fast. The question is, do you need to compound that with the additional insult or injury of increasing the rate itself? And there's no reason why we have to do that in Cornelius. We're still a small town, and in fact, we should be seeing scale economies at this point, right? We have 26,000 people. We have a completely built-out police department, planning department, public services. We should see scale economies now in how we run this thing.
Del, I'm going to let you have the last word on this because I when I say so. Please, if there's something like to say, feel free to say it.
Yeah, no, I agree with Dave. Look, I am so anti-tax. I don't like taxes of any kind, especially federal taxes and state taxes. I like to keep things local. And to me, if I'm willing to pay for a sidewalk, I think it should be a public debate, and the public should decide whether we're going to pay for that sidewalk. I agree with Dave 100%. As stewards of the budget, the commissioners have to be good stewards of that budget. And if we can eke money out of that budget, by all means, let's pay for it that way. I'm not for paying for it with tax increases.
Okay. And it's an important distinction, I think, that there is a tax burden for approving a bond. So there is a net effect on the tax rate. Now, whether or not you actually raise it a penny or you cut a penny, there's still a net effect on the tax rate, which is, I think, what the public needs to keep in mind as they do go to the polls, is we will be paying for this. And I think one way or the other, whether it's an increase or whether we're not going to be paying for something else. But I also think it's important to disclose at this time that Cornelius does enjoy one of the lowest property tax rates in the state. And it is because of the work of the folks who have come before you or you two who are here today. I know I've covered you guys for many years, and noticing the hard work and detail that goes into all of that. And it is a lot of work, and there is a lot of number crunching, and there is a lot of homework to be done.
Well, but that's a nice thing to say, Andrew, but really it's not. It's not so much, I appreciate that, but we can't really take credit as a board or as a management team because the elephant, because again, you have to acknowledge this particular place on Lake Norman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Dave,
this real estate is so valuable, and so it enables us to have a low rate. We shouldn't be patting ourselves on the back all the time.
But Dave, and Andy brings up this point, which is one of my, not sure if I'm going to ask Dave questions or not, which is up until 2 years ago, there wasn't a budget that you liked. And now you're voting for 2 years in a row for these budgets. What's changed? What has changed?
No, actually, I think the first budget I supported was a number of years ago. But you're right. There have only been 2 times in 8 budget cycles that I've supported the budget. And sometimes I've had bigger problems than other times when we did increase the tax rate pretty substantially in 2006, I think it was. But in general, it's just a sense of, have we done our best? Have we really done our best to tighten the belt where we needed to tighten the belt during the recession, to run the government efficiently, or have we been too relaxed, resting our laurels on this enormous assessed value property base? And so I'm afraid, most times, rather than not, I've been disappointed and had to oppose it.
And obviously that was a question for Dave, but would anybody like to add something to that or make a statement about that? Anything you want to add to that? Go right ahead, buddy. Okay.
Thank you for watching this segment of Lake Matters. You can view the entire interview with the candidates running for Cornelius Town Commissioner on the Lake Norman Citizen website or Lake Norman Current's website.